Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. It's a Sunday morning here in Tucson, and it's great to connect with master musicians, people that have been honing their craft for a long period of their life, have gotten their rudiments and technique down, and maybe even have really a lot of chops and a lot to say, but have been able to also realize the mysticism and magic of music and have channeled the spiritual energy of music into their repertoire, which really makes it come full circle. And it is my guest today is somebody who exudes that, and she plays all over, plays tons of gigs. We were supposed to do a live interview yesterday, but she had another gig. She plays African music and spiritual jazz and some cover music from rock bands, and just throw away the labels and the genres. She is an accomplished player, really a rising star. Angeline, Saris, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's. Can you talk about a little bit about playing music? When the music is coming through you, I guess people will call it music from the heavens, and ultimately just when you're in that environment, if you can talk about channeling that, how you channel that when it's really just coming through you.
Well, I think before a show, I just kind of ask that music, ask the spirits that be, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, God, or anything that I just make people happy that are there, and that whatever that needs to be will just come through me, and that's pretty much it. You just sort of keep yourself open, and I think try not to get your brain, your head involved too much. Try and it's like a meditation, try and clear it, and then just let your fingers and all the work that you've done in the past, the practice, just kind of happen.
Can you talk about how you stopped thinking? I mean, did you get to a point in your music where you realized that if you were thinking, you weren't really playing?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two ways to go about it. Like, one, if you've had a really good gig or a really good show, a really good performance one night, you realize that you were so in it that you thought the whole night you were just having a great time, or if you're in that zone where everyone's just burning, and there's this magical, kismet on the stage. It's like nobody's sitting there going, oh, well, I should play the major third right now because that would be really hip,
Right, I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, It's like you're just doing it, and everybody's doing it, and the whole band becomes this sort of, this one thing, and so I think that's sort of, that's how it happens when the music's really good and everyone's on the same page. Now, I think there are things that you can do when you're not on stage to help foster that environment in your soul and your mind, which is have a meditation practice, take care of your body, exercise, don't be a jerk, like stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I dig. Can you talk about a specific memory of I mean, because what I'm finding as a non-musician, really, I mean, you have to have your technique, you have to have your rudiments down in order to lose yourself, like for a 3-hour gig, and then you come to consciousness again. But do you remember, like, the earliest experience you had when you just transcended and totally left yourself and stopped thinking on the bandstand?
The earliest experience of that,
or just one that comes to just one that comes to mind. I mean, something where you were like, where you walked off and said, I've never, I don't know what happened for the last 3 hours.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't remember the first time that happened, but I can tell you that, that happens a lot now. Like, I played a show last night that's pulled over, because I was driving up from it, but we played in Sacramento with the all-female Led Zeppelin band Zeppelo last night.
Right.
And, and it was just a joyous, wonderful experience. And I mean, and then I played with, actually, I just feel like it's all the time. I played with Ernest Wranglin, and and the same thing. You're just in the zone. You just live there. I mean, it's all the time. I mean, let's say not all the time. It's most of the time. Like, I had a show Friday night where I was kind of in my head, and I was annoyed. I think part of it was the sound was a little rough, and it was just a ruckus environment. People were falling on the stage, and it was like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
I'd say more times than not, that's sort of just the way it is.
If you were talking to younger cats, what is when you start to get frustrated or you're in your head, and there are distractions around you, what would be your advice to cats that are trying to build trust with other people? I mean, ultimately, you have to trust the other people you're with in order to also lose yourself. But I just would like you to get, when you're fighting it, how do you, when you're in the middle of playing, how do you break free from yourself?
Even when you're on stage?
Yeah.
I think one, just identify first that you are in your head, and then I think heighten your senses, it's just like start to focus on the music as a whole, not necessarily your playing and your part in it, like what is everybody doing, and just, and then sometimes I just close my eyes and I look up, actually. I just look up and close my eyes and take a deep breath and try and just focus and ground. I mean, I don't have a specific, maybe I should have a specific thing, but that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, no, I think that it's important to know that you can change that mindset, even if it's not, if the events around you are a little bit chaotic, which I can imagine they would be at these, how did this whole female Zeppelin tribute band come together originally? I mean, it's a fantastic idea, a very unique kind of thing. Can you talk about how that manifested?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the band has been together for, I believe, 11 years now, and I joined 5 years ago. They had another bass player and another singer for the first 6 years, but I know it came together because the drummer, Clementine, and the guitar player, Gretchen Menn, were in an all-female AC/DC cover band called AC/DC, and and I think they were really wanting to tour more and play more shows, and they just had this idea. So Clementine had the idea to do an all-female Led Zeppelin tribute band, and she also was really into Barbarella, the movie, and so hence the name Zepparella. And I think the first show they played, they projected the movie Barbarella onto the stage, which is why they wore all white, so that you could kind of see the movie being projected on them. And the white came off so well that we always wear white now. So that was sort of the birth of that band.
Are you finding it to be, I mean, as honestly as you can, like, is it too formulaic, or do you guys stretch out? I mean, I haven't seen you live, but I mean, is it just, do you find yourself going off, getting loose, or is it are you playing the same sets every night?
Well, we're definitely not playing the same set. I mean, we have about maybe 50 other songs that we can pull from. Maybe 40 or 50. So we switch it up, but they're definitely crowd favorites that we like to include in our own favorites. And for me, as a bass player, the way that I approach the set is definitely not formulaic, because I'm trained as a jazz musician. Like, that's my upbringing. So I look at things in terms of, like a chord chart, where it's like, oh, we've got, an A dominant and then a D minor 7 and this. And so, obviously, if it's a riff, you have to play the riff. You can't veer from that. But in terms of the framework of the chords, I try and I've studied JPJ. I've learned his lines. Like, for a great example would be the Lemon song. Like, that's a great, over the solo, the bass part is awesome, but I might quote it, and I know it, like the back of my hand, but I'm not going to play that every night, because I think that's crazy. I must be so bored.
Right, no, I dig. I mean, were you getting off on, like, like Reggie Workman, the stuff that was being done with with Coltrane? Like, was that stuff that you were studying? I mean, there's a lot of different ways of defining jazz. I mean, you could look at, Rick Laird with the early Mahavishnu, or even, before that. I mean, you play upright bass, so, or like an upright electric hybrid kind of thing, maybe. And I just wanted to know, which upright bass cats were you, like, not necessarily learning in the academic sense, but like the cats that you really would turn to listen to.
Sure. Well, in terms of upright cats, Mingus for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up listening to him. Ray Brown. Wow, I'm totally like pulling out.
No. But just use those two.
Ron Carter. Oh yeah, there we go. Ron Carter.
Sure. Ron. Yeah, I mean the guy. But I mean those. Can you just take, for instance? I mean, was it like the fact that? I mean, not so much Ray Brown, but like Mingus, for instance. Like, I mean, a lot of times he was using that as a lead instrument. Was that inspiring for you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't say that I I admire that about him. And actually, I guess in some ways I do approach it more melodically than some bass players. But, yeah, I think it's super cool. I mean, a lot of people I love were, really in the forefront as bass players, so.
I feel like you are a very melodic bass player, or that your inclination is to go even farther in that direction. But, it's always about locking the groove, Mingus to me was always about, just being out in front and being bold. But, I mean, with Ray Brown, did you get to see those cats ever live? Like,
I saw Ray. I saw Ray before he passed away, actually, at Yoshi's in Oakland. I saw him and Tony Williams, and then they both died like a month later. I was like, oh!
That's what I mean. So they played together?
No, just separately.
All right. So what was your impression? I mean, even though, tell me about seeing Ray.
Well, the thing I did love and I still do love about Ray's playing is his tone and his sense of his feel and his sense of melodicness, how he plays with the lines, and he just speaks to the instrument, I think, in a way that is so true to like what it can do, and also it's sort of playful too, and sweet and fun but deep, and I don't know, I just and his tone. I mean, he's just got this big sound that I love.
It's warm, and he was Quincy's major cat on bass. Did you actually go to school for music? Did you go to music school, or can you talk a little bit about your trajectory in education, like as far as your music?
Yeah, absolutely. I did not go to school for music. I went to UC Berkeley, and at the time I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I graduated with an undergrad degree in rhetoric with an emphasis in legal discourse. And but I had an epiphany in the middle of my towards the end of my last year that I was not supposed to be a lawyer. I was playing my bass, actually. I had come home from a class in the rhetoric of counterculture. We were studying like Ginsberg and Leary and Aldous Huxley, Doors of Perception, and I was playing my 1979 Music Man on the bed, and the sun broke through the clouds, and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be a lawyer. I think I'm supposed to play bass. And it was like this kind of aha moment. But
but what years were this?
Well, that was in college, so that was when I was about 20. So I don't know, years back.
No, it's fine. So you were stuttering counterculture rhetoric, but I have to believe that some of that riffing also was that very inspiring to you? Was that the first time you were exposed to that stuff?
Oh, it was so cool. I actually really am glad that I studied that. I had this one class too it was like Alfred Hitchcock films and like Western philosophy and or an Eastern philosophy and like the theory of feminist theory in Hitchcock films through the eyes of like Heidegger, Hegel, and Kant. It was like so
wow.
cool, man. And yeah, it was just like, those were some of the coolest classes. So I think it was, in a general level, it just opened my, my brain in a cool way. I think that's education is supposed to, so. But,
did you have opportunities to gig in college, like around the Berkeley area?
I did. So I played in the jazz band in high school and studied privately with this guy, D'Artagnan Brown. And then when I got to, and I was always kind of playing in jazz trios and combos. And then when I got to Cal, I played in the Latin. We had a program called UC Jazz, and it was not affiliated with the music department. It was sort of the redheaded stepchild of.
I love it. No, that's that's where it can get really funky, though. That's what I like about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool in the basement, and but it was great. And I played in UC Jazz. I played in the Latin jazz ensemble there, and then I had a couple funk bands and would just pick up jazz gigs. I was always playing, even before I decided to fully, pursue it as a career. I was always a hobbyist. I think I was in denial, really, for a long time.
I think you were just kicking ass, actually. I mean, honestly, can you talk about how you became comfortable with the clave beat?
Yeah, well, thank you. That was all when I took the Latin jazz ensemble at UC Berkeley, and I remember learning the timbal and the concept of not playing on the one, and going home and having to count it and familiarize it, and that's where I learned the 2-3, 3-2 son rumba and all that. So that was there.
What cats were you playing with, though? I mean, this to me is fascinating stuff. This is really where you can put all that practical stuff into an applied real-time situation.
Right, you mean in terms of the clave?
Yeah, well, I mean, you make it sound pretty effortless, but it's not. It's not. and I'm just trying to figure out because there was there are a lot of cats that I talked to that Santana's bass player Dave Margan from the '70s, and he was in this band. It was literally in the Berkeley Square. It was called Salsa de Berkeley, and it was steel drums, timbales. It was I think electric bass, and there was no guitars, no piano, and it was just. But that was happening it basically just was on the streets. This was '74. A lot of philosophically, I just feel like jazz in general, melodic music is music of culture, which should belong on the streets. And I just wanted to know, because with gentrification now, I go to Berkeley, and it's just totally different. And I just wanted to know if there was a lot of culture and a lot of music on the streets when you were there.
No, I think actually I remember kind of thinking when I was there that it felt a little bit like it was riding the waves of its sort of hippie image from the 60s, and
what made you feel that way?
Well, I'm not going to lie, Berkeley is a great place. It's one of my, I love Berkeley and Oakland. I love the East Bay.
I did too.
Yeah, it has so much, there's so much culture going on over there. You can have Ethiopian food, or you can do anything. It's and right now I live in Marin on the other side of the bay, and Marin is also very beautiful, but way less exposure to that level of culture. So, so it's still there for sure, but it just isn't the kind of open-minded spirit that you imagine. I was born in the late 70s, so it's I wasn't alive during that period, but what I picture it to be at that time, when I've heard stories about all that, it seems like it didn't, it had kind of, as it happens, it had gone, and times change. It wasn't like that anymore. But there's still great music. There's Yoshis and all stuff, so, I'm not trying to...
Yeah, I guess we're probably the same. I was born in 78.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so we're the same age. Yeah, so you were. I was at Boston University at the same. Yeah, the late '90s, that 2000, that turn of the century was you described it very apropos. It's riding the wave of this sort of open-minded consciousness movement. Can you talk about being a woman in the music business and the challenges that you have maybe a challenge that you have faced and how you've overcome it?
Sure. It's such an interesting question. It's one that is definitely exists, and there are things to talk about. Also, one that sometimes I'm like, do we have to talk about this? Because because part of me is like,
you know what it's about. We don't have to talk about it, but if you don't share the story, then my daughters and younger generations, they need to know how to overcome. That's the relevancy, And if there's something, I think it's important because I know that it exists.
It definitely exists, without a doubt, and it is important. I think what I was going to say is Cindy Blackman said it so well. I went to a clinic once of hers, and I asked her a very similar question. I said, what's it like? Do you have advice for women in the industry? And she said, she put it perfectly. She said, you know what? Just practice and be the best musician you can be and show up and be professional. And that's all you can do. Don't worry about it, And don't, create awareness because that sort of propagates, the issue. And yes, it does exist. And actually, I'm reading Herbie Hancock's book right now, Possibilities. And
Right.
He talks a lot about growing up, being African American and how a lot of people got caught in this, way of thinking, just being almost aware or and it's like it doesn't help you in any way to do that. All you can do is have a positive attitude and just put your best foot forward and practice and try and be badass.
Well, no, yeah. If you have the chops, no one's going to really F around with you. But I just feel like
there's more to it.
Yeah. Well, was there a time when you were able, if somebody was sort of insecure about the fact that you were a woman and you were a monster player, and they were sort of, taking shot, verbally going after you, trying to make you insecure, and how you dealt with that? I know that there were cats from Berkeley like Mike Wolf, who's now lives on the East Coast, but he grew up Berkeley High, and he was playing blues, and he used to go to and these black guys would yell at him, "You can't play, you white boy," he would just he went home after this situation, and he was kind of just woodshedded for 2 weeks, but he just kind of grew this tough skin to be I belong. I think that's what Cindy's playing is saying, when you belong, but there is a lot of cats that are, there's just, for women that are more insecure, that really have beautiful open heart, can you share a time when someone was quote unquote trying to intimidate you or bully you, and how you dealt with it?
Yeah, and actually it doesn't just come from other men. It can come from even women. I remember I was taking classes at El Camino Community College, and actually, I'm not going to tell that story quite yet, because that has not as much to do with being a woman or woman.
It's okay, whatever, yeah, you just flow with it.
Yeah, well, I will say that one thing that happens a lot is that people, in situations, they, I have to say, guys like to mansplain things a lot. Offering advice about what I should be playing or how I should be playing maybe more freely than they would if, I think if I were a dude.
Wow. How do you manage your ego, Angeline? Because that would be very frustrating for me.
Well, it is, but I think you just have to be respectful and graceful and, say, oh, thank you, I appreciate, your suggestions, and be grounded, but I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. Or, yes, maybe that is a great idea, but not be rattled by it, even though it's annoying sometimes, and you understand that this person's just, being like that. But I think just being graceful, okay, thank you.
Do they come at it because they are I guess some people genuinely, when they're legitimate players and they're giving you advice and it's stuff that you can improve on, versus somebody who's just kind of maybe an avid fan, or somebody who is just trying to figure out a way to have their voice heard. To me it would be, but what I'm saying is you believe that they're saying this stuff to you because you're a female. They wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example is Friday night. I had a guy who actually, both during the show and after the show, decided to come up to me and tell me in the middle of the Zeppelin set that I should be slapping the bass. And after the show, And then he came up to me after the show and really went into this long monologue about how I should slap the bass and what the technique was and how I should be doing it. And part of me wanted to, I was annoyed, but then I realized, oh my gosh, like, this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about, and he just feels like I'm a woman and he wants to come up and mansplain something to me.
Mansplaining to Angeline, I can't, I mean, that to me is, but that's maybe more of also a way of, like, guys just trying to, like, start a conversation with you, you know, I mean, that to me is which is pathetic, but that's, yeah, because why would you try to lecture somebody about that, not once, or tell someone once but twice? To me, that's mind-numbing to me.
Well, I mean, it is. It's hilariously stupid. And what I realized was I just looked at him and I said, well, you know, this is Led Zeppelin. And I said, I do slap, but in this genre, we're paying tribute to this band and John Paul Jones to slap. But he didn't want to hear that. So he continued to tell me how I needed to slap. But I finally realized that what he really wanted is he just wanted to be heard. So I just said, you know what? I said, I hear you. And then he was like kind of lit up. I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And I walked away.
Wow, that's so cool. How were you raised by your folks? I mean, how did you came from pretty educated family?
Well, I wouldn't say. I mean, yes, I think my mother and my father are very smart, but they're not. I think my dad did a little bit of college, and same thing with my mom, but they're not college graduates. My father is a mailman, or was. I guess he's retired now. And my mother had hobbies and, you know, worked a little bit, was a photographer, but that's them.
But I mean, you. I'm trying to put this the right way. I mean, you were the same age, you know, and I mean, you've already done a lot in your life professionally as a musician. You've already navigated a lot. And then there's this quality of, like, you know, just always wanting to create, always wanting to play. I mean, where did that come from? I mean, to me, it's like also the ability. I mean, I'm still struggling with it in my life. I mean, I'm kind of I am a one-man band as a journalist, and it's pretty invigorating actually. And it's great not to have to work for people that are going to tell you what to say, how to say it, you know, all this stuff, but. For you to have the philosophy of saying he just wanted to be heard, that is the crux of where we're at in our society now. Because on any level, it can go two ways. It can go the Angeline Saris way, the way of saying they just want to be heard and I'm going to let him say it. Or the other way is more reactive, like, dude, like, what you're saying is pointless. Like, please get out of my face, like, sort of, you know, you can see it playing out in all facets of our society. So I'm trying to figure out where that perspective came from with you, whether it's something that just you were born with, how you refined it to become a good human being.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I would say a couple of things. One, you know, my mother is a fantastic human being,
yeah.
And I credit so much to her. She's a beautiful person, and she's a wonderful spirit, and she's peaceful, and she's edgy, you know, because you don't want to lose your edge in that.
Never,
you know? It's
never.
Like, you know, and I don't want to do that either, but I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is I've done a fair amount of reading around Buddhist philosophy, and I'm not religiously affiliated, but I am spiritual.
Absolutely.
And I think honestly, having Narda come into my life too in the last 5 years, Narda Michael Walden, he is just, you know, he is and Ernest Ringel, and they're both like beacons of light, you know, and all they put into the world is happiness and joy and positivity. And that doesn't mean that you don't encounter the opposite or other things, but it's like you don't have to, when you encounter it, multiply that energy by feeding it, you know. And so I think what you try and do is learn how to either change the energy or walk away from it.
So yeah, I mean, Narda, I mean, I was after him for a minute, and we just did this cosmic interview, and I mean, I just love the love inside of that cat, and can you talk about can you maybe talk about something you learned that you gleaned from him that was inspirational insofar as what you just talked about, not exacerbating negative energy, but either redirecting it or, can you point to something that where you learned from him?
I learned by watching him actually,
right.
Handle certain situations, and he never, ever in rehearsals. I mean, he wants the music to be better, and he's like, he will work you, but he never does it in a way of like, is never negative, or it's funny too when people start to kind of complain about other people or say negative things, he doesn't engage in that kind of conversation. He just is fine. He doesn't tell you that you should or shouldn't. He just doesn't really say anything, and then he moves on to something else.
Wow, I love that. Oh, so he almost becomes he almost withdrawals.
Yeah, he just doesn't. Yeah, it's like I was saying, he doesn't feed it. He just withdraws and then moves and then changes, and it's like it's subtle, and it's one of the things that if you weren't really paying attention or didn't want to have awareness around that, you would never pick up on it. But I noticed, like when I've been, this or complain or you hear yourself do something, he just, okay, and then, moves on. I was like, oh, you know what? And it highlights it for you. You're like, oh, I'm doing that.
Yeah, no, I'm so there. There's like a unspoken wisdom there where it's very obvious that you just want to, because from a dharma and karma perspective, it doesn't create that kind of harmony either when you wind up in some sort of skeptical. But I mean, to me, like Narda also is like, listen, the guy was a visionary. He learned from masters.
Yeah.
He opens. Did he open a door for you though? Like to the world of music in some way too. I mean, he
Absolutely.
yeah. Can you? To me, this is the show. My show. I mean, if you want to incorporate it with your concept of love, is fine. But I just want to know what he did for you musically. Obviously, he saw some vibrant monster player, but what did he do for you that opened the door for you and gave you hope?
You said musically?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one in your professional career.
Oh yeah, well, there are like a million things. I mean, one, the level at which he plays and is as a human is both deep and high. It's like, if that makes any sense, and he demands a lot, and because of that, I still am constantly pushed by him to become a better musician. He's constantly challenging me. Learn this, do this, be able to play this faster, learn this Jocko piece here, do this or whatever. We're in a rehearsal, change the key, up a major third, down a this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's like, those are all just things where it's like, it's a level of musicianship that I am so deeply honored to, be a part of and be in his presence and it's just to make music with somebody like that. And so that just makes you a better player. And then, like I said, the approach, the kind of gratitude and the joy that he plays with, you realize that is what music is about too. It's about joy, and it's an offering to the people that you play for. And he said, I always go after a show, I'd be like, oh gosh, like, I didn't play very well, or I felt great, or whatever, sort of summing up the show or my playing or something. And he's like, you don't know. You don't know at the end of the day how you played. He's like, you don't know if you might think you played great, or maybe not, or maybe you think you played terribly and you changed someone's life in the audience that night. You just don't know, so you don't need to even worry about that. Just do what you can and play the best you can and let it be. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of cats say that sometimes the shows they thought they played the worst at, and they listen back to the tapes, and it was totally inspiring music,
It's always like that.
It's always like that. That isn't. I think about that with my interviews too. I interviewed Ron Carter when I first started my show, like 4 or 5 years ago, and I went really hard towards bigotry and racism and things that I was really hammering on at that time. And he at one point asked me to stop the interview and was like, he's like, I didn't expect it to go in this direction. I said, well, but the point is that I walked away from that interview after 45 minutes. I said, oh, that was kind of contentious. I mean, I kind of got, I don't know if I got rattled, but I didn't think that a lot of content came from it. And then I was listening back to it probably 4 years, like I just recently, and I'm like, I really held my own, this is fantastic, like it was inspiring, but at the time I thought it was a train wreck, but
right.
I don't know how it works out like that, but, the
That's funny, yeah. I mean,
it is,
great.
well, it's one of those things that, should be vetted further. I think that, can you talk about the project, the quasi Mahavishnu project that you and Narda worked on, and some of the original tunes that came from it, and also, I mean, because it's cool to do the Mahavishnu tunes, but do you guys feel like you created new vocabulary as well?
In the fusion genre, I'd say we're just playing like stuff off Visions of the Emerald Beyond, off of his albums like Garden of Love Light, and
it's the greatest album of all time. Yeah, amazing.
Oh my god, it's amazing. Yeah, it's a song, "Dance of Life." It's just like it's amazing. I love playing that song. But
yeah, that's well, I think that's probably my favorite Narda tune, actually. Yeah.
Is it really? You too?
Well, I mean, I found it. It was so weird because I found that album in a Goodwill, like just for like 50 cents, and this is before I'm like, how can I wonder if I can get a hold of Narda, I wonder where this cat is at. And it all just sort of moved into this realm of like momentum. But that tune, I think Will Lee's on bass. I could be wrong. I'm not,
yeah.
and it's just, it's sophisticated without getting too far gone. And I love the themes. To me, that's part of music is just, I almost would rather, I'm writing liner notes for this really talented saxophone player, this really, really great player, and it's a great album. I mean, there's like 8 tunes on it, and it covers all genres, and, she's got great chops. I mean, she didn't even pick up the horn until a couple years ago after she saw Wayne Shorter play, and so then she started to play, and, but I almost feel like, I don't know, I'd rather see 9, 10, 12, 15-minute tunes with different themes in them. I feel like that's kind of a missing component. I could be wrong, but it just, to me, I just want to get away from the formulaic part of music. It drives me insane. And I just want to get your thoughts on how to, on the liberation of just playing free, not in the sense of free jazz, but the idea of just being able to be true to your heart and not having to acquiesce to some kind of greatest hits or just kind of, a pacification. I mean, to me, that's where a lot of pop music has gone, is towards just pacification.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, verse, chorus, bridge, double chorus out. Like, this is the form, there's no shock. It's like, this is what people are being fed, and as if they don't have an option, and it is. Some of that's great. I love some of that, but it's not everything, and it's so weird what it's become, and the cool thing I think that's happening right now with the internet and music is that it's reshaping music itself and the music industry and what's available to people. And I think eventually that will end up being a good thing. I think the music industry is still reeling from the internet. We haven't capitalized from it. It's like,
can you unpack that deeper? How is it affecting it?
Oh, well, the CD is essentially worthless. People think that they don't have to purchase music.
Right.
They don't see downloading something as stealing. It's like, it's the same thing as, walking into a store and taking a CD off a rack and walking out with it, without paying for it. And I think the internet has made people feel like that's not what they're doing, even when they are, and with music. And they also don't see the next step, which is that, musicians can't make a living, if you don't purchase their album. Or, that's one way. You can go out and tour and sell merchandise and stuff, but it's like, you can't sell CDs and make money anymore. And then what that's doing is it's sort of changing who can make money. So it's like, oh, well, yeah, sure, if you have a day job and, you know, and make a decent salary, then you can afford to make an album, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit twisted. I mean, do you think that, like, Narda's an example, like, I feel like our generation, like me and you, we are from we're the same age. So we tasted that authenticity before things went into the total digital age and mechanization. And I just wonder, do you find yourself, I look at some cats, I'm not going to mention names of bands, I just feel there's a lot of people a lot of luminary figures in quote-unquote rock music or jazz to a degree as well, where they didn't get the memo that there's a lineage in music and that it's imperative on them. They've already made their livings. They've already done a very good job. They don't need to make another $40 million on a summer tour. They need to give back to the younger cats. And Narda's, obviously there's people that are not part of that. But I look at some of these, it just seems like a gross amount of, like, these bands that have already been around for 40 or 50 years and they're still on tour and they're still playing the same sets. And it's like, to me, I'm not saying you shouldn't make money or make a living, but if you've already quote unquote reached that American dream, then it's time to do your part and give back. Can you tell me that there's cats that are still doing that, or do you feel that same way where there's just, to me, there's like a, lack of venues to play. There's a pay-to-play mentality. Like you said, most of the time, if you have merchandise, if you're going to sell it, it's going to be at a gig. People, and so, all I know is that the titans of music, Bill Monroe and bluegrass, Ray Charles and Sam Cooke, I mean, the list goes on and on. In jazz, Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, those cats, they did fine, but they always were looking to give younger cats the opportunity. And I know it's kind of just a wide open thing, but I wanted to get your perspective on that, because I just feel like there's so much greed now, even with cats that grew up not with that mentality, when they were just trying to sing for their supper,
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, because I imagine there are a lot of people that are giving back and trying to change it, and then there are other people that are just looking out for themselves and doing the same old thing or whatever. And I guess to each their own. I mean, it would be nice if there was more maybe collective awareness in the industry around it, but I don't know how we get there.
Can you talk about the community that exists in Marin or in the Bay Area? It was at one time one of the most communal. Even if cats in the Youngbloods, they might live in Marin County and go to the gig, have supper at home, go to the gig and drive home, and then the other cats would be going to jazz clubs and partying, dropping acid. But I mean, like, there was a very strong community. What is it like today?
Yeah, well, yes, it was. I mean, it's amazing. There was, like, the Grateful Dead, and there's Carlos Santana and Bonnie Raitt and Journey and Tower Power, and I mean, it's like,
on and on and on and on. I mean, that doesn't even include all the ridiculous, like, jazz that was, just brewing. Oh, yeah. It's insane.
It does. I mean, I'm leaving out, like, tons of names, but it's amazing. I mean, the scene was something, fantastic. I will say that it's still cool. I mean, it's not what it was, and it is changing a lot now because we have Silicon Valley in the area, and so there's a big tech spillover that's happening all over, and rent prices are going up, and it's just like, it's hard to be an artist and live in the Bay Area because it's so expensive. Like,
can I ask you, though, I mean, because I know that part, but do you find yourself playing more private parties? Like, that tech culture, what is the culture to them? I mean, I get that the rent prices, they're shutting down artist housing, and I get that. But, I mean, from the musical perspective, are you playing a lot of corporate gigs now?
For me, fortunately, no.
But, I mean, I get the feeling that that's a choice with you, though. Like, you have a choice.
Well, mean, I do, and I also just think it's who I involve myself with, the bands I play, and
I did.
I do so many different, I've played so many different groups and projects, and
Right.
I mean, I do it from time to time. I don't mean to totally poo-poo it, but it does have a certain vibe, and sometimes, you'll be sitting there like just ripping it up, and I've played. I won't name companies, but I have played a few, and I just remember like the band just like killing it, and the musicians on stage were like had this, resumes that were amazing, and then there's people like eating crab cakes on a napkin, like not paying any attention at all, and then kind of like looking back and like kind of sniffing at the band or something. And you're like, do you have any idea the level of like talent and like musicianship on a stage right now? And I mean, it's just so sometimes it has that vibe where it's just like, oh my god, this is depressing. Like, this is not a win-win for anybody.
You just in your own way, you just articulated the danger, though, because that's a micro example of the macro issue. I mean, it's the idea of saying music is not a profession. You understand,
right.
like in their mind, it's for entertainment or it's a hobby. It's not a profession. Like no matter how much you're just burning, they can't hear it. They don't know what they're listening for, and to them it's not. That's the biggest thing that's changed in our culture, and it's very scary because I'm not saying that I mean, actually, you're the type of cat that would go play at a pizza parlor with like some bongos and like Latin, like those gigs were. Those gigs provided for musicians. They were everywhere in every major center, and they got paid for them. And now it's like, well, you can have the door, or
right.
or you can pay to. I mean, and again, I also realize that with technology, it also. I mean, listen, there's a point to be made about. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I mean, when their sons and daughters were getting slaughtered at 4 a.m, coming home out of their minds from like a dawn session. I can understand that times change, but it's the mentality of this, bottom line society that we're in now that makes it harder for creative cats to navigate. And what would be your advice to people that are just that they want to be true to themselves. They're trying to make authentic music, and they're living in a place like Marin County or Seattle or Chicago or places that used to be hotbeds of musical activity, but now, as we know, have changed. What would be your advice to them?
Well, you can't change anything. From the top. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, this needs to be like this." It's like, so what I would say is just. Say yes to everything. Like, in terms of accepting gigs or music or putting yourself out there, just become part of it. Just live it, and that's all you can do, because, I mean, that's all I do is just, like, in fact, I kind of feel like that this weekend where it's, like, a movie, The Red Shoes, where she puts on the red shoes and she dances and dances, and I think she dances herself to death or something.
Wow, I think that's Wayne Shorter's favorite movie.
Is it really?
I'm not kidding. I remember David Rubinson chimed in on one of my posts because that's an old movie, right?
It's very old.
Yeah. Because I think he said that was Wayne's favorite movie. That's so funny you brought that up. Yeah. So you're dancing and dancing until she dies.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's kind of in a weird way. It's like just live it. It's like take the gig at the Fillmore and then take the gig at the pizza parlor the next night. Like and then go and accept this rehearsal and then go just be open to music. Like, and the more you do that, the more it grows. And and it's not some hippy-dippy concept. It's just true. It's like, it's like you put your energy on something and inevitably it's just going to build from there, and whatever. And so it's just, I mean, for me, it's just take it all. Some people are like, well, I don't want to do that, or that's below me, or they have an ego about something, or I don't play that kind of music, or I'm not interested in that, but then they're like, well, I don't have any work, or I can't, it's like, well, you just, one door opens another, it's like you meet this person on the gig, and they know this person, and then you just don't know, so. I don't know if I answered your question.
All right. I guess what is the biggest area of growth for you in your life at this point, musically or I mean, I'm not saying try to get to you're not somebody, like you said, you're open to most things, but where do you want to keep growing?
It's funny. Your goals change over time. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I want to, tour some. I don't know. I had different goals, but right now, my goal is I want to continue to play with musicians who are great, who I admire and respect, and musicians who challenge me to become a better musician myself, and also musicians who understand the connection between the universe and music and spirituality and love and the gifts, and people who have this deeper connection with it, who don't just want to go out and play the okay, here we go, we're doing this and we're making our buck,
Right.
and we're out now, and then in 5 years I'm going to do something different. It's people who really understand that this is something bigger than that, and I just want to keep playing with people like that who have depth, and I want to grow, and I want to I guess that would be it.
Do you find with your students, the younger students are seeking this stuff, seeking this triad of music, spirituality, and the universe, or I've just been reading some stuff about cats who, we all have our, we all have smartphones. Everyone is now engaged in either being producers of content or receivers of content, or we read or whatever it is. But talk to me about younger generations, if they're able to understand authentic music. Do you still have? Is there hope?
Yes, absolutely. They are the hope, actually.
Right.
And and I'm not going to say it's all of, it's the same thing as now. It's some yes, some no, and some I teach privately, and I have some younger students, and some of them, that's my job to show them that connection, to show them the depth of music, not just go, okay, here's this riff, go home and practice, in fact, I just had this conversation with one of my students. I said, come in and you need to practice, and here's why, because I don't want to collect your checks from your family. You're wasting everybody's time if you don't, and
Wow.
it's, and I said, I don't need that. That's not why I'm here. And I said also, I want to contribute to this, positively, and I'm not doing that by just taking money and showing you riffs. So, so we're going to figure out either how to work this, or you're not going to come and take lessons.
Wow, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's true. And so, in some ways, there's some people that need to be shown that, and then there are other students who show me things, and that's the beauty of it. Kids who are just check out this music or check out this, or they have different ears because they're different generation, and they it's just kind of cool. They're oh, here's this cool band, or here's this thing, the style of music that's totally different that I might not normally listen to, and so it goes both ways. Yeah,
no, it's Reggie Workman's birthday today. I interviewed him maybe 2 weeks ago, and he said I'm still a student too.
Always.
Oh, yeah. So I think that I don't know. Your ego seems to be in a really good place. I think you should be very proud of yourself. I mean, I think you're finding you're becoming. You're around a lot of beautiful, creative people, but I mean, you're able to keep yourself grounded, and nothing is really. Seems that you put yourself above anything else. And I think that's really important. It can't be underestimated. Did you ever get off on Stan Getz?
Sure.
Because because my tentacles are so far out on Facebook, this TV film producer found me, and the family of Stan Getz gave him their blessing to do the documentary. And he was like you, reading my posts and really just saw what I was doing, and so he's brought me on board to do a lot of interviews for the documentary. And I just wanted to know from you, what period of time you loved, especially the period that I am fascinated with is he had this rhythm section with Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke, and Tony Williams. It was like the early '70s. But I just wanted to know the pocket of time that you like about Stan. This probably won't get in the documentary, unfortunately, but I just wanted to get your perspective on his playing and really the kind of music that he was trying, because he was trying to do this. He was trying to move in the same direction as Herbie's bands or Weather Report or those in the early '70s. But what's your Stan Getz experience?
Well, I just don't. I was just having a conversation with somebody. I don't operate like that. I just feel like good music supersedes like genre and time, and I just appreciate all. Probably. I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite time.
No, you. I mean, I guess. I mean, what is? I mean, when that name comes to your head, what do you think of?
Just great music, good playing, good musicianship. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. Is there a specific? I don't know. I don't know if I can give you like.
No, I guess maybe more to the point. It's like, do you remember like if you listen to him? Was there an album? Was there a particular song? Was there something that stood out to you? I'm just trying to glean information. The guy was actually completely like, from a human point of view, was totally out of his mind. Like, he was insane, totally insane. And what's amazing is that as vicious as he could be, and as he was obviously very addicted to drugs and all these things, what's amazing, Angeline, is the idea that you can have a tone and a sound so beautiful and be such a bad person. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's it. I mean, I'm going to talk to Stanley about it tomorrow. I've been talking to Billy Hart, and there's some stories that are coming out of this stuff. I mean, the guy had, if you want, I mean, this is how much our society, this is just information that I was learning, is that in the 60s, you could get a doctor's prescription for cocaine.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff that I'm learning about. I mean, the idea is that if you for depression or constipation, you could get a doctor's prescription for cocaine, and Stan had a prescription. So I mean, like, it's kind of, I mean, and that's neither here nor there. I'm just, it's really like it's an exciting opportunity for me in the world of music journalism, considering that. This whole thing has been homespun, and I just kind of like to. So I'm not even sure if I'm really asking you a question actually about Stan. It's just he was a total. It's me. What I'm trying to say is that you can still have an amazing tone and sound, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily have a beautiful soul.
It's true, and that's so interesting. Like, how does that work, right? Yeah, because you talk to you and Narda and McLaughlin and all these guys, and everyone has their demons, but you can just get a feel from somebody about like the love inside of them and the soul. And not that Stan wasn't he just was I'll send you, if you give me your email, I'll send you some of the stuff I've already been transcribing. It's going to blow your mind. I was going to ask you, I was like, you should hit me to some of this, because I don't, this sounds fascinating.
Well, just, private message me your email, and I'll send you, because I've been already going at it hot and heavy. I mean, without getting into too much detail, I mean, I think things are lining up for it to be financed, and it could be a really, really, really cool gig, if it pans out, and so I will send it to you. And I'd love to actually have you on my live show, maybe sometime in the late summer or the fall. It was just I really enjoy breaking it down with you.
Me too. This has been so cool. I'm just genuinely having a blast right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I just I've dedicated this year to the Year of the Woman too, and I can start to feel the momentum now building. I mean, I had Rita Coolidge and Lanny Hall, but I really love I'm actually just enjoying talking to you. I consider you a peer, and you're actually doing something on a totally different level that is absolutely as sophisticated as anything that I'm doing. I just find it to be completely inspiring, and anybody that's playing with Narda too. Narda's opened doors for me and trying to help me every way possible. So love you, kid.
Oh, cool.
Love you very much.
Oh, well, love you too. Likewise.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just so appreciate. Like I said, I was like, just when I started reading these quotes that you were putting up, and I was like, "What? Who is this? What's going on here? This is so cool."
Well, I mean, the amazing thing is that you also can. I mean, when you have downtime, I mean, you go to the interview themselves. You get to hear the person actually saying it. I mean, it's like it's just cool. I mean, to be able to get on the stage. I mean, it's just like playing music with people that you idolize, but in this case, it's just getting them to get out of their original mindset, their normal mindset, and then you're asking them to go there, and they go there, and they go there every week, and it's like a yogic state, and it's I don't know how it all occurred, but I think you would venture to say that, like you said, you just keep going at it with an open heart, and opportunities will find you, and so yeah. Angeline, Saris, thank you so much for being part of the program today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm totally honored to have this experience with you.
Yeah, and I'll get you a file of this. I'll probably start blasting out some wisdom that you've been riffing on today all over the Facebook pretty soon.
Yeah, it's been really great. Thank you so much. And I know, I'm like, oh, is it over? I love talking with you. If I'm out in Tucson, I'll hit you up. We usually play at the Rialto a couple times a year. So.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, are you... the Rialto's... Yeah, definitely let me know when you're coming out this way. I don't know if I'll be able to get up to Marin anytime soon, but just keep swinging, babe. You're doing a heck of a job.
Oh, thanks. Well, likewise.
yeah. We'll keep feeding off each other, and we'll meet soon. Okay.
All right. Well, sounds good.
All right, Angeline. Have a beautiful day.
All right. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.